Have you ever looked at a Pokemon card artwork and said to yourself, hey, I know that location? If so, well then that makes two of us. If not, then buckle up. I've put together a list of every card depicted in the Kanto region and thrown them all together in this video. I hope you enjoy.
Fly high, banana leaf, palm frond. My guy, the Pokemon Don Juan. Long neck, thick cheeks, couple 100 pounds. Dinosaur, but no fossils found on the ground. Now it's time to lock in, cause it's going down.
So how does this work? For the sake of consistency, I had to establish 3 ground rules. 1. There has to be an identifiable landmark. I can't just see a Diglett card from a certain era and assume that since Diglett can only be caught in one location in Kanto, it's got to be Diglett Cave. 2. It exists somewhere in the mainline games or states where it is. Does that landmark exist in the Kanto region? And can you find it on a map? 3. Minimal artistic expression that differentiates from those main games. Is there enough evidence that proves that this is the right place, or are there too many variables? And that's all. I want this to be fun for everyone, we just need a little consistency. Okay, we're gonna dive in now. We're going in chronological order, so whether you're a die-hard Pokemon fan or you clicked this video by mistake and just haven't switched away yet, thank you, let's start our adventure where it truly all began. Pallet Town. First off, we have Red and Blue getting ready to set off on their big adventure. This Pallet Town is from Let's Go because you can see Red's house and Oak's lab with a hint of Blue's house in the background. Next, we have Professor's research, which takes place in a different iteration of Pallet Town. This appears to be the Pallet Town from Fire Red, Leaf Green, but you can see some artistic expression with his lab. So I'm also going to throw in this screenshot from Pokemon Crystal. You can still see it's a touch off, but Red's house does line up in the background, and you can see those vertical logs in front of the lab. Execute is hanging out in front of Blue's house in what I think is heart gold, although the house isn't a 100% match, the door and the window frame do line up. Next, we head inside Professor Oak's lab where you can see his iconic table with the 3 starter Pokemon waiting to be selected by Red. We can also show this card featuring the same table and bookshelf, but now Pikachu is waiting to be chosen by Red. Finally, we have Daisy, and for those of you who are unaware, this is Blue's sister. So this is the inside of Blue's house, and this is the shot from Fire Red where she gives the player the town map at the start of the game. And that'll do it for Pallet Town. On to Route 1, we have Red headed north out of Pallet Town towards Viridian City with those 2 iconic ledges, along with this Pidgey illustration rare showcasing Route 1.
Viridian City.
Viridian City is the first stop outside of Pallet Town, and here we have 4 cards. First, we see Blue's tactics. Here's Blue outside the Viridian Gym, where he eventually takes over in the Let's Go games. We head inside the Viridian Gym to the boss room where Giovanni resides. Here we have a Diglett, and you can see the red carpet under Giovanni's chair, plus the table and bowl, and the large screen in the background. Here we have a match with those 2 photos. I'll leave them up for a minute while we switch over to Rhydon. Rhydon is blocking some of the identifiable objects from the last photo, but we still have the big screen along with these diamond pattern windows, fruit bowl, and the floral vase on the end table in the background. Finally, I feel obliged to throw in this series of stadium cards since the name is the exact location. These gym designs would be a mock-up of how they would look during the Red and Blue era, so quite the difference between this and what we saw just now. But that'll do it for Viridian City. We head north towards Pewter City, Viridian Forest. Next stop is Viridian Forest with 2 cards. Both the regular and the gold cards say Viridian Forest, but I wanted to throw in the reference image to highlight that this is the entrance to Viridian Forest accessible via Viridian City. We make it through the forest and arrive at our next destination, Pewter City. Pewter City is where Red gets their first gym badge, which we can see here on the stadium card with the large stones and the blue rock walls. This is the Let's Go iteration of the Pewter City gym. Brock's grit shows the identical wall color, so he's likely standing at his pedestal in the back of the gym. Finally, we have the OG Pewter City gym, complete with open skies and 3 spotlights for some reason. We head east towards Cerulean and reach our next landmark, Mount Moon. Next we have Mount Moon. Not a ton going on here, but we do have a Mount Moon card, which is simple and effective. I also wanted to include these Japanese vending series cards, since they are depicted in the early days of Pokemon. This Clefairy and Zubat are both found in Mount Moon in Pokemon Red and Blue, and the fact that they are both showing a full moon in the background is pretty telling. They want us to know that we're in Mount Moon right now. Yes, in this instance, the moon is a landmark. The more you know. On Route 4, that Pidgey from before has evolved into Pidgeotto, Cerulean City. Cerulean City is where Red obtains their second badge, and we're about to see several versions of that gym over history. Here's Misty's Cerulean City gym as depicted in the Let's Go series. We also have Misty's Favor, which shows the same clam that we see in the back of the stadium card. Going back in time a bit to Heart Gold, Misty has a completely different look and repurposed her gym for competitive swimming, I guess? Here we can see Misty hanging out on that lifeguard tower, seen in the background. Next, we have Misty's Psyduck. This one could be seen as a bit of a stretch, but I am a believer that this card takes place at the Cerulean Gym from Fire Red, as there are square tiles on the floor, an open concept pool, and it's the only generation to show ladders getting out of the pool, as seen behind Psyduck. Also, it's Misty's Pokemon, so I'm counting it. And here's the obligatory stadium card from the red and blue era, not much to see here. This next card holds a special place in my heart. People went nuts over this one when it was a Japanese exclusive until Phantasmal Flames released last month. It might be hard to tell, but those buildings back there are in the style of the early generations where you can see Poke on the front of the Pokemon Center. It was hard to find a map from this era, so it's a bit blurry, but you can see that the house next to the Pokemon Center is further back but adjacent. We also have the flower bed and the path, which we can see in the reference image. Finally, we have Mewtwo looking ready for a fight. The crystals are a big giveaway here since the Cerulean Cave in Let's Go also featured large blue crystals. Hope you brought a Master Ball. Alright, from here we're headed north over the Nugget Bridge to meet an old friend, Bill's house. I called this Bill's house since I figured more of you would be able to relate to that than the official name, Sea Cottage. But here we have 4 cards featuring Let's start off with his teleporter. Simple design, but it lines up with his teleporter from Pokemon Red and Blue. You can see the small circle at the top center from the reference image. Next, we have Bill's transfer. It's not a 100% match, but I have a few reference images here since we need to see the whole interior of his house. There's a computer on a table on the left side, but in the background you can see the green couch, which is across the room on the right side. Different color keyboard, but the rest matches up. We also have this ultra rare, which matches up with the PC with the sticky notes and the red and yellow book on top, which is interesting because we don't see those in the game, but it proves that they are the same location. Finally, we have this Eevee card from the trainer gallery. It looks a little different than the reference image, but it's either Bill's teleporter or a personal sauna. You decide. Now it's time to head south to meet Lieutenant Surge and the gang, Vermilion City. Red gets their 3rd badge in Vermilion City where we have 5 cards. We have the Vermilion City gym from the Red and Blue era, which looks more like a prison to me. Thankfully, Lieutenant Surge switched it up by the time we get to the more modern games. Here's the Vermilion gym as depicted in Let's Go, which we can see lines up with Lieutenant Surge's strategy. Lieutenant Surge's bargain isn't a 100% match since this card came out 6 years after the other one, so I think there's a little bit of artistic liberty here, but we still have the metal scaffolding inside, plus we have the green metal containers and the red oil drums, plus Lieutenant Surge. Quagsire is living its best life out in the water south of Vermilion City, which we can see lines up with the Let's Go iteration. We have the oil drums left of the gym. We also have a house and the Pokemart on the eastern side of the city. Most of all, we have the SS Anne hanging out in the background, which does dock in Vermilion City in the main game, where we also have this Pikachu, which you can see does line up with the windows and the railing on the side. From here, we head back through Cerulean and east towards Rock Tunnel, where we have no notable cards, but on Route 10 we do have Misty and Lorelei, who are probably bonding over their shared love of Lapras. You can see some water behind the white fence, which is the path the player uses to surf towards the power plant, which we will come back to. Lavender Town. Lavender Town freaked me out as a kid, so the quicker we get through here, the better. Here's Lavender Town as a stadium card with the Pokemon Tower present in the background. You can see the stained glass above the front door lining up with this screen grab from Let's Go. Next, we have Pokemon Tower from the Red and Blue era. These again aren't 100% matches, but that's just how they did their original stadium cards. See all the other gym cards we've looked at. And since Lavender Town doesn't have a gym, that's how they got their own stadium card. Finally, we have Channeler. This trainer only dresses like this in the Let's Go era as seen here. We also can look closely behind her on the walls with that diamond pattern matching this screenshot from one of the upper floors of the tower. Now let's get out of this cursed place. We bypass Saffron City and head for Celadon City. Celadon City is where Red receives their 4th badge. We have the OG Celadon City gym, which might be the only one that doesn't look completely different than depicted in the games or the TV show. However, Erica really cleaned up the place as the years went on, turning the Celadon Gym into a garden paradise for the Let's Go series. Here's a screenshot with a large tree behind Erica, along with a battle against her where you can see the two distinct colors of the brick walls. Celadon City is also the home to the Team Rocket hideout, which houses many nefarious Team Rocket activities. Here's Giovanni in his executive office as you can see the match with the desk, chair, phone, windows, banner, and everything else. Giovanni's charisma is a bit tougher to distinguish as this takes place on the lower floors of the hideout. I don't think we can pinpoint the exact spot he's standing at, but we do see in this screenshot the chain link fence and the red metal pipes running along the ceiling, which does align with the card art. And that's all I got for Celadon. Alright, we're headed for Fuchsia City next, but we have to make a quick stop. Cycling Road, aka Route 17, where you can just as easily walk. This art is about halfway through the route from the Let's Go era. Route 18 is where Pidgeotto finally evolves into Pidgeot. Fuchsia City. Fuchsia City, home of the Safari Zone, is where Red gets their 5th badge. Koga is the gym leader in the original games along with Let's Go, and you can see the screenshot of this with the wooden floors, green mat in the middle, and the matching outfit from the Let's Go series. Then, in Pokemon Gold and Silver, Koga gets promoted to the Elite Four, and his daughter Janine takes over as the Fuchsia gym leader. Here she is in front of that gym, even though this is the gym from Let's Go where her father is inside being the gym leader and she is not present in the game. A little confusing. Finally, we have the old school Fuchsia City gym, which is riddled with invisible walls like in the main games, but apparently also invisible floors. Oh well, we press on. Now you might be wondering why we've passed over Saffron City twice now, but we've been traveling underground thus far. Now we have a lemonade to give to the security guard and we can finally proceed. It couldn't be more straightforward. Saffron City. Eventually we unlock Saffron City, where Red can claim their 6th badge. The original Saffron City gym is a little boring, so not much to say here. Sabrina and her psychic abilities are still in charge during the Let's Go series, where we can see a match on the yellow floors, the gray bricks behind, along with that green and pink light barrier. Now I know we just beat the gym, but we have somewhere else we can battle. Next we have the Martial Arts Dojo, where Red can choose between Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee. Here's that dojo depicted in Let's Go, along with the gold version of the card. What up, Mankey? If we return to Fire Red, we can see a slight change in the fighting dojo, where these scrolls on the wall are now blue and the dividers are now red, as seen here on Black Belt's training. Finally, we have Golbat. This Golbat is flying around in the lobby of Silphco, where Red fights off Team Rocket. But for now, this Golbat, which we can see aligns with the dual fountains from this Let's Go screenshot, and I'm throwing in this second screenshot so we can get a good look at those luxury red armchairs. What is that, velvet? But yes, there is a giant bat flying around in the lobby of a prestigious establishment. And that'll do it for Saffron City. From here, we can now fly to our next location, which is surprisingly close to Pallet Town, assuming you can swim. Cinnabar Island. Cinnabar Island is where we head for our 7th badge. The original Cinnabar gym might have been the most dangerous gym of all time, with an absence of walls and an endless amount of lava pouring in from the side of the volcano. Seems super safe. Thankfully, Blaine is more interested in being the next Alex Trebek, as by the time we get to Fire Red, he's more invested in trivia. Here's Blaine at the back end of the gym with the matching floor, pink carpet, quiz machine, and a framed photo on the wall. By the time we get to Let's Go, he blew his life savings on converting the gym into a TV show production with ample lighting, visuals, and dozens of folding chairs for a live studio audience. I still cannot tell if he's going through a midlife crisis or if he's just passionate. Next, we have the Pokemon Research Lab. For the longest time I thought this was Pallet Town, but then I realized there's the different floor pattern along with the fossil posters on the wall, which should have been a dead giveaway, but we can now confirm this is the Pokemon Fossil Lab on Cinnabar. There's even a scientist sitting in the chair with the microscope from the card. Finally, we have Arcanine. You can see the water splashing up against the land, which is the first giveaway. This is the southern coast of Cinnabar. We also have the Let's Go style Pokemon Center, along with the slanted roof building behind Arcanine, which houses the Pokemon Research Lab from the previous card. And that's it for Cinnabar. We head east for Seafoam Islands, but there's nothing notable here, so we catch Articuno and move on. Now I do promise you, we are getting close to the end. Okay, now we're gonna head all the way back to the power plant to go catch Zapdos. Power plant. Outside the power plant, we have Voltorb, just chilling in the grass. You can tell it's the power plant because of those iconic striped smokestacks? I don't know, I'm not well versed in that industry. But they're striped like Waldo, just like they are in Heart Gold, plus the yellow roof. Inside the power plant, we have these two cards, which I tried to line up with an exact location, but I didn't find anything with that perfect combo of oil drum positions and the generators, but it does match all of the objects found in the back room with Zapdos from Let's Go. Alright, that's 2/3 of the legendary birds. For the final one, we're gonna have to go all the way across the map. Victory Road is where we'll catch the Fire Chicken Moltres, but alas, there are no notable cards here, so we press on to fight the Elite Four. Indigo Plateau. Oh, Indigo Plateau, the final stop on our journey of Kanto. Some people argue that the Indigo Plateau could also be in Johto, but since we can visit there in red and blue, I'm sticking with Kanto. First off, we have the Indigo Plateau Stadium card from the Heart Gold era. You can see the arches match. Sure would have been nice to catch that Celebi. Before we go inside, we have some Pokemon to deal with. Here's Meganium near the gates in front of the Indigo League, specifically from Heart Gold. You can see the match on the colors and the Pokeball statues. Next, it's the same Meganium, shifted 15 feet to the right. We have this Blossom hanging out in a floral garden. But if you look closely, you can see the green awning above the front door as depicted in Heart Gold. Okay, let's head inside and meet some of the Elite Four. First, we have Will, doing their best Robin from Batman impression. For those of you whose fandom dropped off after the first generation, Will replaced Lorelei as the first battle in the Elite Four. As for the artwork, we have a match on the ramp. We also have a match on those floating geometric shapes. Super normal, nothing to see here. As you were. Next, we have Agatha, specifically in Fire Red. We can see the purple floors, the strange tombstone pillar things, and the Pokeball painted on the door. Interesting taste. Here's Karen from the Elite Four in the Heart Gold era. Karen replaced Lance in the Elite Four when he got promoted to champion. We can see a match on the purple floors, sparkly arena, and a hint of those red curtains on the side. And last but not least, we have Lance, who, like I said, replaced Blue as the champion in Gold Silver. Here he is in the final room in Heart Gold, complete with luxury red carpet and gold walls. Defeat him, and you are now the Pokemon champion. And that, my friends, completes the tour of the Kanto region. I have a few more cards I want to show you, because I believe that in my heart, these exist in Kanto, but I cannot pinpoint their exact location. The first one is Pokemon Center Lady. That wallpaper is specifically from Let's Go, but we cannot really narrow down which Pokemon Center it is. We also have Pokemaniac, who dresses like a Slowpoke in the Let's Go series. There are 6 Pokemaniacs to battle in that game, and I did go to every location where they are battled, but not one of them appears to be standing in front of a brick building with a pink roof. In fact, I don't recognize that building anywhere. So if you do, please let me know because I spent way too long trying to figure that out. Next, we have Ninetales. This is from the Heart Gold era, so I'm convinced this is a Pokemon mansion on Cinnabar Island, especially since you can catch Vulpix there. However, the artistic expression differs too much to put my seal of approval on it, as I don't recognize the small metal railings or the Pokeball statue. I was hopeful it was one of those statues that had the hidden switches. You old school Pokemon fans know what I'm talking about. But I just don't remember any of them being Pokeball shaped, so I have to keep it separate. Let me know if you feel differently. I do feel obligated to throw this next one in there, Rocket's Hideout. All we have is this Gengar chilling in front of a red R. Some of you are probably saying right now that this is the Team Rocket hideout under the Celadon game corner. But the difference between this stadium card and all the others is that this one is from the Neo series, and Gen 2 stadium cards seem to be a little less off the cuff than the others. I still believe this card could be in Kanto, but I also believe there's a reason they named it Rocket's Hideout versus Team Rocket Hideout. Maybe I'm getting too nitpicky, but the whole series is about confirming locations, and that's something I just can't do here. Speaking of Team Rocket, Giovanni's back. This card is a recent depiction of him, where we have a red chair, framed art, and some wainscoting on the walls, but between the Viridian Gym, Team Rocket hideout, and the President's office in Silphco, none of these quite line up. Similarly, we have this Japanese promo where Giovanni is chilling in a big red chair, much like the one we saw in the Silphco lobby, but the tiles, the planter, the walls just don't line up. But since it's Giovanni, I figure he's somewhere nearby. If you have any information about any of these missing cars, please dial this number. And by dial this number, I mean, leave me a comment. Since we just went through the whole region, I'm tempted to wrap this video up now, but the voice in the back of my head says, but wait, what about Pokemon Pocket? You're right, and I almost didn't include those in this video since they aren't physical cards. But Kanto is Kanto, so I'll blitz through those like one of those medication commercials with side effects they don't want you to know about. Please note that all of these cards appear to be from the Fire Red, Leaf Green era, so I'm not going to say that for every single card, but it is true for all of these cards. Ahem. Here's Professor Oak in his lab, which aligns with the scrolls in the decor of the lab. We also have Red standing in front of his house, and we have this Frittata at the edge of Route 1 with the backside of Red's house visible. Here's Misty in her gym, there's those ladders. Here's Jinx in front of that house Pokemon Center combo we talked about for the Meowth IR. Lieutenant Surge is in his gym, very yellow. Gyarados is wreaking havoc in front of the SS Sand. Here's Diglett and Co outside the southern entrance to Diglett Cave with the water fence and sign visible. Haunter is in Lavender Town with the Fire Red style Pokemon Center and tower looming in the back. Here's Erica in her gym. Team Rocket grunts in the basement of the Team Rocket hideout. There's Giovanni in the Team Rocket hideout. Here's a Spearow in the grass on Route 16, fence and trees match, along with the Celadon shopping center in the back. Doduo is on Cycling Road, note the shadow. Koga hanging out in his boring gym, someone get that man an interior decorator. Route 19, we have Snorlax blocking the path. These three Pokemon are all separated by Snorlax, with Oddish to the north, Bellsprout to the west, Venonat to the south. Sabrina is in her purple gym. Blaine is in the back of his gym with his old school quiz machine. Articuno is flying high above the Seafoam Islands. This Electrode IR also has tiled floor, some Cylinders, and Zapdos flying in the back. Here's Zapdos above the power plant. I don't have a reference image for this Moltres, but we know they want us to believe this is Victory Road. There's an exit at the back of the long path, plus the Machop and the Machoke in the foreground, which can be found here. Here's Will chilling with his geometric shapes. Blue is at the Indigo Plateau, where you can battle the champion and fire red. Whew. So there we have it. All of the identifiable cards depicting Kanto. And because I'm a data nerd, here's some final stats. That's a total of 71 cards. Throw in the 6 unknowns and we have 77. And if you count Pokemon Pocket, that's another 27 cards for a grand total of 104 Kanto cards. That graphic sure got messy. So yeah, I had a lot of fun putting this together, and it took me several months and 3 pass-throughs of every card in existence to put this list together. However, I'm human, so there's a chance I missed one, or more. So if you caught something I overlooked, let me know in the comments. Just remember the rules I mentioned at the beginning, but beyond that, I'm all ears. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you liked it, because I'm gonna start editing the Johto video next, but it is a journey. We'll see you next time.